we'll be covering a very quick guide on to like a practical guide to Scrum. So we'll go through the topics of Agile and Waterfall and Journey of Agile, and we'll have a look at the manifesto and look at the Agile method. And we'll talk about why Scrum, and then a little bit of a demo on Jira, uh, which you all are familiar with, I suppose. So when it comes to project management, so there are several methods that people have been using. So the very old ancient one is the waterfall method. What happens here is you take a product development and then you do it phase by phase. So these are the phases, as you can see. And so you'll spend time on securing and finalizing the requirement, then you do the analysis, then to design to code, and then test, and then you would release, and then you would go on to a maintenance mode. That's how you deliver projects or products in waterfall. So agile is entirely different. We take a iterative method or approach. We'll discuss about how it's done, but I will not explain it on this slide. So looking at the difference, so in waterfall, you take suppose you are developing a online bookstore. So you will have couple of features. You will have a login, you will have a book catalog, you will have like a online purchasing, likewise couple of modules. And then in a waterfall mode, what happens is all these modules will be first documented, and you do the requirement specification, then you do the designing. So as we explained on this slide, you go through all the stages and then you release it, and then only the client can see. But in agile it's different. So we take a iterative approach, and we take we focus on a feature. We look at the modules, but then in all these modules we look at releasing the features, where the features will add up and ultimately create the particular module. So, and within this feature, within this every feature, we'll go through the requirements and the design, development, testing, and the releasing. So that's the main difference. So in waterfall, basically, you hold on till each phase is completed and you do a mass production. But in agile, you take an iterative approach where you release in chunks in an iterative manner, where you can release a working model to the client, where client can see and they can give the feedback, where you can improve and inspect and adapt based on the business needs, because this is a business is changing every day. It's very challenging, where when you can release iteratively, when you can give your releases quicker, then based on the changing markets, you can look at what has been done and you can adapt and change accordingly to suit the market or the business. So moving on, so we talk about a minimum viable product, MVP. So that is what is being focused on agile delivery. So a true MVP would consist of, it will be reliable, it will be functional, it will be usable, and it'll have a empathetic design as well. So all these characteristics will be composed when you are delivering a MVP. So this is another way to look at it. So as you can see, the last model is how you would build a MVP. Where initially, I mean, you develop a part of it, then you enhance it, then you enhance it further, and then finally you look at the overall product. So within these incremental cycles, because the client gets to see what the team had been developed. They can also have a look, they can give feedback. Also, they can go look at the market, then they can look at the competitors, they can like get the research feedback, market sentiments, and come back and improve the product to be a better product when we are delivering towards the last. So we are focusing on the value. So always value comes to top when we are doing agile development. So another way to look at the difference of waterfall and agile is this. So as you can see, the top describes, okay, so this is how the design had been done, but then in delivering, as you can see, actually what has been requested had not even been achieved, because you get to see the final product towards the end, where you don't get to see the product in the middle of the cycle, but only towards the end. So by that time, if there are any issues, if there are any changes, you'll have to go back to the first stage and then repeat the cycle, which will take a lot of time, will eat resources and your money, and you will be not be able to be competitive in the market as a product. Instead, in agile, as you can see, so in the first iteration, you deliver a small increment, and in the next iterations, you improve it, you enhance it. And if you look at the final agile delivery, you're actually delivering something more than what the client has requested. That's the art of agile, because it's very transparent, it's very open. You get to discuss with your stakeholders on the product, and you get the feedback, and you get to prioritize what is really important and what will give your product the value. So towards agile delivery, you are promised to get a better delivery, better product, which is suited for the market, which is market ready actually. So a couple of different scenarios where it shows differences and the value. So as you can see in the first picture, it shows waterfall development. As you can see, the value is created towards the end. So in the initial stages, you don't see the value, because towards the end only you get the product out, and that is where you see what had been developed and all that. And the risk of failure is very high, because it comes at the end. But in agile development, the risk is minimal, because from the start, from your sprints, from your each sprint, you're seeing a a portion of your product being delivered incrementally. So the chances are, as we discussed, you can enhance, I mean, you can cater the market, you can adapt, and you can change. So the value created is very high in agile, and it's created incrementally throughout. So, and then the main difference on a like a plan driven and a value driven is that, so you have the same constraints, right? You always have the scope, time, and cost, but then on a plan driven, like waterfall, so time and cost is estimated and the scope is fixed. But in agile, the scope, depending on the time and cost, the scope is adjusted based on the value required for the product. And on the last picture, as you can see, it talks about waterfall and agile. So it says easy project management, but I do not agree. This is wrong. Project management is not easy. So neither agile, neither waterfall. But then in agile, it's very transparent, because you get to sync with the stakeholders, you get to present what you have been doing, flexible, and you can prioritize things as and when required, and the team adapts and delivers on their own. So these are the qualities and the benefits of agile product delivery. So we come to discuss about, so what is agile. So agile is a software development method set of methods which is based on iterative and incremental development as discussed. And the difference is the requirements and solutions evolve through collaboration. So we'll discuss about the self-organizing and cross-functional teams in the latter slides. And it is time box definitely, because there's a time frame, and everything is developed and released based on the time boxed iterative approach. And one of the main things is the flexible response to change. So unlike in waterfall, when something is prioritized and required, you can prioritize it and ASAP get it to a new sprint and get it developed and released. Okay, so what is a self-organizing team? So first we'll talk about cross-functional teams. So there are functional teams and cross-functional teams, right? So a functional teams would be like the expertise is, it's at different with different individuals, where you have testers separately, developers separately, architects, and then DevOps. So all these different capabilities are scattered, and these teams, when they are working, whenever they need support on support, suppose you have developers and testers, and when they have a need of DevOps to deploy or maintain or create servers and deploy things, they'll have to get assistance from a DevOps team or a tech ops team. So they are creating a liability and a dependency with the other teams, similarly to the other work as well. So in agile, it it focuses on having a cross-functional team, because you need to have all the expertise what which is needed to develop a product within the same team, so that you don't create boundaries or dependencies with any others. So within the team you can cater to your product development. So that is the difference of a cross-functional and functional team. So you can go back and see if the current team that you are working is, if it's functional or cross-functional. If it's agile, it has to be a cross-functional team, where within the team you have all the expertise. So maybe there are only developers and they do the testing, and maybe there are testers and the testers are known to DevOps as well. Maybe they can do the deployments and take care of the servers and do the monitoring as well. So not specifically to say, okay, we need to have testers, developers, and the tech ops, but then you have to have the same all the capabilities required to deliver within the team. Maybe the individuals, maybe some individuals have one or more capabilities, which is fine, which is okay. But the focus is you must have all the capabilities required within the team, within your agile team, where is cross-functional. So what is self-organized teams? Self-organized teams is where, okay, so in Scrum, you'll discuss in the upcoming slides, where you always have a backlog and you groom the backlog and you come to the sprint backlogs, and you make sure you are ready for the upcoming sprint to what to work on and all that. So in a self-organizing team, you commit as a team, you commit, okay, you say, okay, these are the from a prioritized sprint backlog, you'll pick uh, the items to be taken to a sprint, and then you as a team you commit to it. Then you go ahead and deliver that work within that sprint. So within the team you discuss on discuss with each other, okay, this use story I'll be delivering this date, and the tester agrees, okay, I'll be taking this from this point, and then I'll test and make sure to deliver on time. And then you have a very high collaboration, right? So where when the user story is picked, I mean, they when testers are not isolated, where the dev doesn't go ahead blindly and develop, but the developer and the tester would, sync. The tester would say, okay, these are the test scenarios that I'll be looking at on this use story, and these would be the edge cases, so that the developer knows, okay, prior to development, the developer is aware of what is being looked at by the tester. Similarly, the developer would go ahead and explain, okay, these would be the modules that I'll be using, these are the components that I'm reusing, these components would be common. So all that conversation takes place in a agile team. And then suppose there are some dependencies, the team within the team you discuss about and find out, okay, how to sort this. But then if there are any difficulties, any impediments, any blockers, you would make sure to alert the scrum master, and the scrum master and the product owner will be helping the team to get them resolved. So that's on self-organizing teams and cross-functional teams. So coming to the manifesto. So the main four items looked at that agile software development is these four, where like individuals and interactions over process and tools. So it doesn't say per agile values individuals and interactions than the process and tools, and then working software than comprehensive documentation. It never says no to comprehensive documentation. That's why you come towards user stories rather than requirement specifications. And then customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. So as mentioned, while there's a value on the items in the right, of course there's a value on process and tools, comprehensive documentation, contracts, and following a plan. But then agile mode, in agile development, we always tend to value what is in the left more, which is on individuals and interactions, working software, customer collaboration, and responding to change. So these are the four main items we looked at in Agile. These are the values actually. So when it comes to principles, there are 12 principles. So you have what we discussed earlier, and then you have these items of the customer satisfactions, frequent delivery. So it's iterative, right? So your sprints can be, you can have 1 week sprints, you can have 2 week sprints, and then you can have 1 month sprints as well. But then within these sprints you get deliveries, right? So whatever you have committed to deliver as a team will be delivered towards the end of the sprint. So that is showcaseable, and the stakeholders can look at it and play around it actually. So the communication is very open, and you measure the work progress. And in agile it focuses on better designs, and continue to strive for better, and then to reflect and adjust regularly. So these 12 principles, you can read more on these principles actually. So that's a very high level introduction to agile, how agile evolved, and the manifesto, the values, and the difference of waterfall and agile. Do you have any questions to what we have covered so far? All good?
Yes. Oh, good.
Awesome. So moving on to Scrum, right? So Agile do have a couple of flavors. So Scrum is one. We have Kanban. Then you have other flavors as well. But we'll be focusing on Scrum mainly, and we'll discuss a bit on Kanban as well. So in Scrum, what happens is, so when we get to start a product development, so there are few roles in Scrum. So we have a product owner, we have a Scrum master, and then we have a team. So all these individuals, all these roles have different tasks which they have to do. So the product owner would be the main person who would bring the requirement. Product owner could be the person who would have a direct interaction with the client and get you the business requirement, or the product owner could be the client, him or herself, or the product owner, or you may have a business analyst where the BA would sync with a respective product owner and get you the requirements, where they lay out the user stories and maintain a product backlog. So, and then as you can see in this sprint, which is marked as 1 to 4 weeks, so usually a sprint is like 2 weeks long. So within this 2 weeks, within this 10 weeks, 10 days, so you have a product backlog refinement. So that is what we call as the backlog grooming. So you have a set of features at a product backlog, and then you, I mean, this product backlog is always prioritized. The product owner, the BA, would always, keep the highest priority items on the top of the backlog. So from the product backlog, we need to create the sprints. So the product owner would decide, okay, these are the top items, and it'll be kept on top. And from the top of the product backlog, the team would extract items to the upcoming sprint. So in a backlog grooming, what happens is you groom the top of the backlog to see, okay, you'll go and question the requirement. First of all, the product owner would explain the requirement and show demos and explain what is the actual need, and the team would ask questions and clarify. And then you do a sizing exercise where your whole team gets together, and depending on each individual's understanding, they give a relative sizing, and then you agree upon a size. So this is the backlog grooming. The product backlog refinement is one place where this grooming happens, and then also you have a sprint planning. So within the sprint planning also, you can refine more prior to your sprint start to see, like, I mean, if you have any clarifications, you can do further refinement there as well. So once we have this product backlog, what happens is team selects what to be committed towards a sprint, which is a sprint planning team meeting, and then you create the sprint backlog. So there could be a product backlog, and there could be couple of sprints, and the sprints can be loaded with the prioritized user stories, which, but then when it comes to a sprint start, the sprint items are picked from top of a backlog, product backlog from the team. So the team only commits. Okay, so if they pick 5 user stories, the team only commits. Okay, we decide as a team we would pick these 5 user stories, and then they would start the sprint, and towards the end of the sprint they would do the delivery of the picked items. So within the sprint, you have a daily scrum every day, where It's a 15 minutes stand up where individuals would go ahead and give update of what has been done yesterday, what is being done today, and what are the blockers. So these blockers are the items which the product owner or the scrum master will help you to resolve. So then you have the review meeting towards the end of the sprint. That's where you demo or showcase the work that the team has been done. And then what happens is the product owner basically accepts what is rightly done, and then it's taken as a shippable product increment. And then you have another ritual once your sprint is completed called retrospective. So in the retrospective, what happens is you will discuss as a team on what went well, what did not go well, and the improvements your team can do in the upcoming sprints. So this is a very open discussion. So without pointing at individuals, the team would be discussing on the good items, the bad items, and then what as a team, what items can be improved, what processes can be improved, what work can be improved on all the aspects team will be discussing. Any questions on this slide or anything to add, Bue?
Mm,
Okay, moving
I,
on.
I think nothing yet, Kumadu. Yes, please.
Kumaru, hi, Kumaru.
Hi.
Uh, so thanks for the session and all the support for the all the Atlassian community. So one question sometimes we have practically is, what if you skip a retro? Um, why do you think we can skip a retro? Do you think skipping a retro is really a bad idea, or what are your thoughts?
Well, the retro is for the teams on good, right? Because I mean that's forum where you discuss about your previous sprints work and what could happen, what did not go well, and whatever you can improve as a team, right? So when you can have a it's also a inspect and adapt situation where you look at how the team can improve further.
True, but what I'm saying is, maybe at a certain point, I'm sure you'd have faced situations where a team might decide, okay, we don't have anything to discuss this sprint. We are all good. Let's go out and have tea. Maybe I think that might also be another kind of retrospective.
Well, it could be like a advanced retrospective maybe if the team is I mean the team has delivered on time and the team has done all the improvements in a longer run. Maybe team can get into such a state to okay. I mean we are well seasoned. I mean pick we we commit we deliver all the committed user stories and yeah, I mean, retros can be taken differently, but then, I mean, the idea is, you pick the improvements and, what can be defined to enhance the team further.
Sure, sure. That point taken. I just wanted to, add something since you opened up and wanted to
Yeah,
make your
definitely.
insight.
Definitely.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on. Okay, so this is on pigs and chickens. So we have this concept in Agile and Scrum. Okay, so this is like a small story where we have pigs and chickens, and the chicken says, "Hey, let's do a restaurant." And then they ask, "Okay, what would you call it?" And the chicken says, "Let's do ham and eggs." And the pig is like, "No, thanks. I'll be committed, but you would only be involved." So it's kind of a joke, but then it has a serious thought as well because Anyone of you can guess why? All right, what happens is, I mean, if you are a chicken, egg is just the involvement, right? So, but the for the ham, you have to commit yourself, right? That's a that's about commitment. So, in agile team, you have chicken and pig. So you'll have to decide if you are a chicken or a pig. So if you are in a cross-functional team, you would most probably be a pig, and if you are within the management, or if you are someone to help the team, you would probably be a chicken because you only involve, whereas the team has to commit because team gives a commitment and team has to deliver towards the commitment as well. Because I mean, when you come to a start of a sprint, I mean, no one forces the team, right? The team only picks from the prioritized backlog. Okay, these are the items that we would deliver on this sprint. The commitment is given by the team. No one can push the team, and the team has to take the responsibility of getting the work done and delivering on time as committed. All right, so this infogram I took from Peter Stevens. So this is like the overall picture or overall story inside the Scrum team, which is what we discussed. You have the stakeholders, we have a Scrum team, then we have different roles. We have a product owner, you have a Scrum master, you have the team. So you can see I mean, the developers, like they are leading the how part, and there are, I mean, it's that's a cross-functional team, right? So they'll do development, they'll do testing, they'll do DevOps, they'll do tech ops, they'll do monitoring, they'll do all kind of things within the team. That's why you need a cross-functional team for to drive agile development. So you have all the product goals, the sprint goals, and the impediments, as you can see, has to be removed to in order for the team to thrive and deliver their commitments. And you can also see how the product increments are done. And the whole storyline is here basically. You can also see the dots, which is the definition of done. So for the user stories, you will have a DOD defined as to say, okay, I mean, for a project, you can define the dot. We have to say, okay, to take a user story as accepted, these are the items we define as the definition of done. It could be the design, the development, it could be the unit testing, it could be the testing, it could be the automation, it could be your performance testing if you must do accessibility testing, and then if it's performance once again, and then reliability testing, stability testing, all those kinds of requirements like can be defined under the DoD, so that you basically have checklist prior acceptance. The DoD has to be met. All right, so I'll just quickly go through a couple of Jira screens. So this is how a backlog would look like. So the latter part is the product backlog, where you have all the user stories. So these are the items that we groom and take into the sprints. As you can see, there are two sprints above. So this is what we do at a grooming product grooming session, where you look at the backlog, you take the topmost items, and then you groom, and then you take it to a sprint backlog and keep ready. So while you are working on first sprint, in the middle of the first sprint, you do the grooming for the next sprint. So you do the planning and you go through the user stories and the requirement. You do the clarifications. Then if you find there's okay technical challenge, then you at that point itself you fire the missiles and get everyone involved and take help and do the right sizing and make sure everything is all set for the upcoming sprint to start. So that's how you do the prior planning towards the your next sprint. So this is a look of active sprint. So as you can see, you have the to do, in progress, testing, and done. So you have different individuals, and so this is how the work is done and being processed, pushed to testing, and then eventually once tested, it'll be done. So you can see the number of days remaining in the sprint. So this looks like a 10-day sprint and 9 days are remaining, and you have the complete sprint as well. So once the 10 days are over, you would be done with the work and you would complete sprint. And then you would look at the burn downs. You can look at the burn down daily. One of the major issues with the burn downs is that most of the time teams do work, teams do deliver, but they either forget or either they don't have the practice of updating Jira, like logging time on time, logging time on time daily. So that's one common problem with using you having the correct discipline using Jira. So in the burn down, you would have the ideal guideline of based on the number of use stories you have taken, number of story points, and based on the number of days, the guideline will be drawn, and based on how team do work, how team update daily on Jira, this line will be updated. So you can see at any point, okay, only hitch is daily the team must update this. So then only at a given point, when you look at the burn down, you can see actually where you are, because it shows how how the work should be burned, and then it will show you where exactly you are at any given point. Okay, are we on track, or are we not on track? Are we early, or are we not early? So all that information can be taken from this burn down. And then we'll talk a bit about Kanban. So Kanban, so there are projects which are suited to go on Scrum, and there are projects and teams which are good to follow Kanban. So usually, if you have a project which is like a service like repetitive tasks are coming, like a service desk task, most probably Kanban would be the best way to handle, because you don't have sprints. You just take the work, and based on the capacities, you define your uh, like for the each swim lane there's a limit, so you define the limits and you take up the work. So and then for very seasoned teams, so like the question asked, like if earlier, so suppose you have a very seasoned team which has been working together, delivering on time always and all that. So maybe you could try Kanban, because for a very matured, very seasoned agile team, you could also try Kanban and get things delivered. So this is how a Kanban board would look like. So you have the to do, in progress, and you have all these limits. So limits would make sure and show you, okay, so you will not be able to pull another one here if the set limit is 4. So and it'll also indicate, okay, if something is stuck, so then you will have to get together with everyone and to see if there's a blocker and make sure to resolve it and move forward. So it's a very fast, like it's coming with lean. So Kanban can be used for service desks, so very matured agile teams in delivering. All right, so that's about it. So if you have any questions, you can ask. But then thanks for the time, and I hope you're taking something from the session.
All right. I think the silence is indicating,
Crystal clear, right?
yeah, that the session was clear. So I hope all of y'all got a high level idea to Scrum. And thank you very much, Komodo. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending this virtual event. See you all soon with another exciting event through the Atlassian Community Colombo. So, thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you, team. Thanks for the opportunity. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Komodo.